everybody, it's Michelle. Oh my god, I have hair in my mouth. This is going great so far. Hey everybody, it's Michelle. Thanks so much for coming back to my channel. This is part 1 of my Halloween special. I know it's already really spooky. I've got these lights that I honestly can't even tell if you guys can tell, but they're orange and purple. I got them on sale because Christmas stuff is already coming out, and I tried to be mad about that, but I'm actually really excited about that. So for this spooky 3-part series that we have going on, I hate that I just did that. I've got 3 videos for you guys that are all themed around Halloween, and I think they're going to be a lot of fun, so I really hope that you guys enjoy them. I'm going to be wearing a different costume for each video because I just wanted to put in so much effort for you guys, obviously. It's not like they're costumes that I already owned in my house. Even though today's costume is really terrible because of my horrible face makeup, I look like partially a cheetah, but also like I have a tarantula on my face because I did a horrible job with these whiskers. But hey, it's Halloween, so like...
Tarantulas are spooky, right?
Oh my god, I'm gonna wipe it off. My nose is itchy. Anyways, this is part 1 of the Halloween special, so this is going to be a baking video. I know, based on the way that my makeup looks, you're probably thinking,
oh god, if she can't even do that, I can't imagine she was able to bake something without setting the house on fire.
But rest assured, my mom helped me, so everything was fine. So we found this video on YouTube a couple days ago, and it was this guy who is a professional baker. That should have been our first note that maybe this wasn't a good idea to try on our own. But the whole point of it was that he was making these tiny little pumpkin cakes, and I will reference the video on screen here, but also I'll put the link in the description, and I'll also put it up here so you guys can check it out. He is a professional, so we should have known that this was going to be difficult, but he made it really clear in the video that anybody could do this, and to be honest, anybody could, and we were able to complete it, but it definitely doesn't look like his, and I don't want to go too into it. You guys will see what happens. But my mom and I also wanted to try something that was a little bit more affordable and less hard work, I guess. That sounds terrible. We were being lazy, I guess. We decided that we were going to try to make this recipe but use a box cake mix and mix it with pumpkin puree, so it was still essentially a pumpkin cake mix. That way we were able to buy box cake and actually some store-bought icing to make this process just go a lot faster because it was a really involved project, so as you guys will see. If you're interested in making the entire thing from scratch, definitely follow the video that I'm linking, but you know, if you're interested in watching me try, or if you're interested in seeing what a more realistic version of it might look like, or what it would look like if a regular person was doing it, then definitely stick around because we're going to show you that. So I'm going to voice over a lot of the ingredients because I don't have the exact measurements in front of me right now, but I want you guys to know exactly what you need. So you'll see me cutting in and out between, you know, voiceover me and tarantula face cheetah me explaining to you guys how we made the cakes. So without further ado, let's get on to the video. We started by going to a couple stores that we have locally where we knew we could get the things we needed for the project. We knew that we needed these tiny mini bundt pans to make the shapes of the pumpkins. So we were looking around at different places. We looked at Joann Fabrics and they had them, but they were a little bit smaller than we were hoping. We wanted them to be a little bit bigger. So we actually ended up going to our local Home Goods where we found ones that were individually wrapped and they weren't expensive at all. So we bought 2 packs of those to make sure that we had enough. Oh, the heater just kicked on. That's great. That also means that the temperature is dropping here, which is even worse. I don't know if you guys have caught on that I'm, you know, a summer person. So once we got the little mini pans, we went and got all the ingredients that we needed. So we went to my favorite store in the entire world, Target, and that's where we got almost all of our ingredients. I think we actually got some of them from ShopRite as well, but I don't have footage of that because I'm still a terrible vlogger and I'm still learning. Sorry guys. So once we had all of our ingredients, we got started. I'm going to list everything on screen here for what you guys need, and voiceover me is going to explain while we're putting everything in exactly how much you need of everything.
Alright guys, so for this part of the recipe, we took 1 package of yellow cake mix, and we used my mom's stand mixer for this part, but you can use a regular handheld mixer. We put in 3/4 cup of white sugar, 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice, 1 cup of pumpkin puree, 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, 1/4 cup of water, and 4 eggs. Once we had all the ingredients in the mixer, we mixed everything together on medium speed until it was well combined. Then we took all of our tiny bundt pans and we put them on a larger baking sheet so that they could all fit into the oven, and we sprayed them with a non-stick cooking spray. Now we'll turn it back to the me in the video you were watching.
So once the batter was made, the next step was to put it into a plastic bag. We didn't have a piping bag, so we used a Ziploc bag, and we cut off the tip and piped our batter into each of our sprayed mini bundt pans. I recommend doing it this way because that's the way he did it in the video, and rather than just dumping it into the pan, you get it more evenly where you want it. And we also bang them out with our hands a little bit to make sure that we got all the air bubbles out and it would perfectly form the shape of the bundt pan. And once that was done, we put them in the oven for this amount of time and this amount of temperature. That didn't make any sense. Because again, I can't remember it off the top of my head and I'm terrible at this. And we waited for them to bake, and once they were finished, we took them out and put them on a cooling rack. Because you want to make sure that you definitely don't do this next part with them hot or even warm, because you have to cover the entire thing in icing and it's just going to melt and it's going to be a nightmare. So definitely don't do that. But while they were cooling, we worked on making the icing. And welcome back, voiceover me, who's going to explain the icing ingredients. I don't know why I didn't just write everything down on the list. Because I'm lazy, that's why.
Alright, hey guys again. So for this part of the video, we're actually going to be making the icing that goes in the middle of the cakes. So we decided to make a cream cheese icing to match the store-bought icing that we bought. So the ingredients for this are 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese, half a cup of softened butter, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 4 cups of confectioner's sugar. So for the confectioner's sugar, I highly recommend using a cloth to cover up when you're mixing it into your mixer, because this stuff will blow all over the place. So we did that to protect it from getting all over the counter. The guy in the video I'm referencing does this as well, so it was really a smart idea. Once you have all of your ingredients combined, you're just going to mix it until it's a good consistency, and that's pretty much about it. That was the simplest recipe for cream cheese frosting that we could find, and it ended up tasting really good.
Once the icing was done, we took the cooled cakes and we sliced very small amounts off of the top so that we could essentially sandwich them together later without them being rounded on the top. After that, you can use some of the little pieces that you cut off to refill in the top, because obviously you want a little bit of an indent in the top of your pumpkin, but not all pumpkins have serious deep indents like these bundt pans do. We took our icing that we had just made and we put it into a piping bag and piped everything onto one half of the essentially pumpkin sandwiches, and then sandwiched another one on top of it. And you'll see now that they actually start to look sort of like pumpkin shapes. Once that was done, it was time to ice. So we put a little bit of icing down on a parchment paper that we put on one of those fancy spitty cake turner things that you see on like actual cooking shows. And once we put it down, holding it still with some of the icing, we put our orange icing that we had colored. Oh, I forgot to talk about that. So we colored the store-bought cream cheese icing that we bought with a little bit of orange and a little bit of brown to make sure that it wasn't just this bright electric orange. And as it turns out, we actually needed a lot more orange than we were expecting, but definitely be careful with how much brown you use, because you don't want it to turn like a gross brown color. So once we had the icing the color that we wanted, we actually noticed that it was a little thick and we thought it might be hard to ice. So we decided that we were going to take a teaspoon of milk and add it just to make it a little bit softer, and it was perfect. It did exactly what we needed, and from that point on, the icing was perfect consistency to ice the pumpkins. So back to what I was saying before I just skipped ahead of everything that we did. We took parchment paper, put it down on a cake turner, and we took our pumpkins and put a little bit of icing on the bottom so that they would stick, and then from there we iced the entire thing. So from top to bottom, the whole thing has to be covered in icing before it's ready to go. It's gonna look like a lot of icing, but don't worry, you actually scrape off a lot of it in this next part. So you're going to take your empty yogurt container and you're gonna cut out 2 shapes. One is sort of like a pointed shape and the other one is a scalloped shape. So the pointed one you're actually going to use to make the veins of your pumpkin, I believe it's called.
That's kind of a spooky word.
And the scalloped one is going to be used to make the bumps in your pumpkin. So you're going to go through and have this sort of rough looking pumpkin, but don't worry, because later on you're going to sculpt it and it's going to look much better. So once you have all of your pumpkins shaped the way you want them, put them in the fridge and do not take them out until they are fully firm. So you want to make sure that you could essentially pick up the pumpkin with your hand and you wouldn't leave any marks or anything. That's how chilled you need the pumpkin to be before you start sculpting it. We attempted to make a white pumpkin using the extra icing that we had from our homemade icing, and while this turned out really cute at the end, it was way more work because that icing was much more thin thin, so you kind of had to refrigerate in between sculpting, and it was just a bigger mess. So highly recommend trying it if you're interested, but it was definitely more difficult than making the regular pumpkins, so keep that in mind. Once our pumpkins were completely chilled, we took them back out, and this is when you start sculpting. It's essentially like sculpting with clay. You're gonna get a small cup or bowl of water, and you're gonna use clean hands. Definitely don't want to have dirty hands.
That's gross.
And you're essentially going to mold it with your fingers. So you're going to use a very small amount of water and just rub your fingers around the different veins and the bumps in the pumpkin to smooth it out so it looks the way that you want it to. We actually went over with our sculpting tools again just to make sure that we had everything exactly the shape that we wanted, and then they were done. So the last step was making the stems. So we made the stems out of Tootsie Rolls. We took the Tootsie Rolls and put them in the microwave for about 10 seconds each to make sure that they were soft enough that we could mold them, and this worked out perfectly. We shaped them into the shape that we wanted, and then we took a toothpick and we just sort of went along the edges of it and made it look more like wood, I guess, by putting lines in it that weren't even, you know, just sort of scattered around it. And this was the final product. They came out really cute. They definitely came out a little bit more cartoonish than the guy in the videos did. His were a lot more realistic. And you know, we kind of liked ours that way, but at the same time, maybe we were just making up for the fact that ours didn't look as good as his, but we liked them that way. We thought they were really cute. They came out really great. You guys will see right here the infamous cutting of the pumpkin. It looks so delicious inside. And guess what?
It was.
They were so good. We honestly don't have any more, I don't think, in my house. We ate all of them. And our recipe that we followed that we're putting in this video actually probably makes about 10 to 12 pumpkins. We ended up making a total of 8, even though you guys are only seeing 4 in the video because those are the ones that came out the best. So with the extra batter, you could either make more pumpkins or you could go and make another cake. So that's what we did. We took a smaller pan and we just made a small cake with our extra batter and our remaining icing, the homemade icing that we made. And that way we just could store it better in our fridge because we didn't exactly have room for 12 pumpkins in our fridge. But if you do, by all means, make all 12 pumpkins. Give them to your friends and your neighbors. I'm sure everyone would love them. They were absolutely delicious. Oh my. Oh. It's gone now, right? Like my entire nose is gone. That's what I thought. And that's it for the video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it, and you should absolutely try it. I mean, if we were able to do it, you guys can definitely do it. Well, actually, my mom's pretty good at this stuff. She's a decent baker, so let me rephrase it. If I, someone who's not a good baker, can work with someone like my mom who is a good baker and not ruin everything, then I bet you that anybody watching this video can do it. They might not come out looking exactly like the guy in the videos, but they probably will come out looking at a little bit like ours. So if you liked ours, definitely give it a try. Send me, you know, videos or pictures of you guys doing it if you try it out on my Instagram if you want. Check out my Instagram. Or you guys can DM me things on my Twitter. Check out my Twitter. But yeah, that's the end of part 1 for my Halloween special. Part 2, I'll give you guys a little
Sneak peek.
is going to be a video of me and some of my friends carving pumpkins. It actually turned out pretty funny, so I thought I would just share it with you guys as a bonus, but you'll see that in the next one, so if you're excited, stick around for that. And overall, I really hope that you guys just enjoyed this video and that you're looking forward to part 2. I had a lot of fun making it, and I really hope you guys had fun watching it. Subscribe to my channel if you like my content, and like my video if you liked it. That would be great. It really helps a lot. I'm really trying to build this channel as much as I can. I'd love to have as many people watch it as possible. I really have fun with it, and because I enjoy the videos so much and I genuinely enjoy making them, it would be great if more and more people watch them. So send them to your mom, to your grandma, to your dad, to your cousin, to whoever you want. I would honestly love to have them in my community watching my channel. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.